Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I actually wanted to get on the air really quickly because we have a severe thunderstorm that's actually working through the immediate Quad Cities metro right now, as you can see on your screen, and it's got some large hail with it. So I wanted to break in, let folks know, especially because it's approaching 2 inches in diameter. That is some really, really strong stuff. So give me a second. I need to pull over settings for the Facebook page really quick because that just got reset. And then we will go ahead and get started. And while we're doing this, of course, we're going to keep an eye on what this storm is doing as it comes into the Quad Cities with the threat for large hail, the threat of large hail, I should say. But still a very busy day expected. This morning, it's a hail threat. This is round 1 of 3 that we're still expecting today. So that's what we're dealing with right now. There's the Facebook page. That should be joining. I'm going to give folks a couple of minutes to join in on there. And then we should be set to go. But there it is. Ping pong size hail just reported in Muscatine near Nichols. So that storm definitely means business. I'm also going to kind of put an asterisk with this too. If I may need to break into programming again at some point, but I'll let you guys know when that'll be. And then we'll just kind of take it from there. But let's give folks a minute to come in. The YouTube Live is going. The Facebook Live should be going now too as well. For those of you that are just joining us, we are still going to do the severe weather discussion, but you're also going to notice we're going to be tracking this storm that's going to be coming through the Quad Cities. I just wrapped up a quick on-air update, if you will, to let our folks know that some large hail is moving into the Quad Cities metro. This now has hail up to 1 3/4 inches, which is golf ball size hail that's going to be coming through. So probably we'll do another cut-in on air-wise right around the 9:15 hour as this gets, our 9:15 time frame on air as this gets a little bit closer to us. But that's what we've got going on right now, including we just got a report in too from Muscatine. This is near Nichols in Muscatine County of ping pong size hail, which is the 1 3/4 inch. So it's busy already. And that is definitely an active start to the day for sure. So now that I think we got folks piled into the live stream, welcome. If you're viewing us from our Facebook page and YouTube page, we're going to start off with what's going on right now. And that's the obvious here. We have a severe thunderstorm that's moving through the immediate Quad Cities. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Muscatine County. We've got parts of Clinton County in this. And really much of Scott County is in this too. And this is for large hail up to ping pong size in diameter. Very strong storm that's developed. I remember I showed you at the tail end of GMQC, that little last update, that this is one we were watching to the southwest, and it's really blossomed, taking advantage of some of the dynamics that we've got going on right now. So before we get to the discussion, here's where the hail is. Again, we just had that report of ping pong size hail in Nichols. There was no surprise with that. So this is going to be moving off to the north and east. It's going to be heading for Durant, Walcott, just north of Bluegrass. And eventually we're going to get this into northern parts of Davenport, especially near Eldridge. So that's what we're looking at for the hail potential right now. Hail size, it's absolutely at least at a minimum quarter size based on what we're seeing here. So let's go back to the hail probability. Let's put a tracker on that so you guys can see exactly where it's going. And then we'll get to the severe weather discussion for this afternoon. So this is all heading to the east-northeast. Durant's about 8 minutes away. Eldridge, we're about 32 minutes, 40 minutes for Pleasant Valley, 50 or so for Port Byron, and then it will get to the Mississippi River sometime after the 10 o'clock hour, the way it's tracking right now. But if you're in the path of this thing, cars inside, trucks inside, stay away from windows if you can. Ping pong size hail now being confirmed with this storm that is moving through Muscatine County now and is getting ready to enter extreme western Scott County. Batten down the hatches, if you will, for that particular storm. Let's push forward to the severe weather discussion. I'm going to keep an eye on the radar as we're doing so. Again, I may need to do another little update on air in about the next 8 minutes or so. We'll see what that looks like, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But if you're in the Iowa side, Quad Cities, heads up. You got some large hail coming your way here very, very shortly. So nothing has changed in terms of the threat area. That is still the same from what we saw yesterday. That hasn't changed really at all. It's still the same region, after all. This entire Quad City is still in a 4 out of 5. Do we go to a 5 out of 5? Today, I think it's more questionable if we do that because we have what we call a conditional setup. It's not a guarantee that we're going to see widespread activity like we did on Friday. That's what's going to be different about the storms today. They're not going to be everywhere. They're going to be concentrated in a small area. But the fact that they will be that kind of mode, if you will, means they're going to be a little more intense than what we saw on Friday, especially including the potential for tornadoes. So let's go into that threat. Notice that hasn't changed either. The entire region's still under that threat for strong to potentially severe violent tornadoes as we get into the afternoon of EF2 or greater intensity. Still just blown away by how many of these tornado reports, the surveys that keep coming in are all EF1, all EF2. Haven't seen anything stronger than that in the Quad Cities yet, but wow, yeah, that was definitely a very, very volatile day for us for sure. Now, wind threat hasn't changed. It's still in the very likely category. That's not really our main concern, though. Today it's about the tornado threat and the hail threat. As you're seeing this morning, we haven't even really gotten a ton of storm energy here, and already we're getting ping-pong-sized hail that's moving through the Quad Cities. Imagine what's going to happen when that storm energy ramps up significantly as we get into the afternoon, and storms have that to work with. That means we could see hail up to the size of tennis balls, which is kind of hard to imagine, but oh my goodness, because can it do a lot of damage. Not to mention it's life-threatening hail, so you get hit with that, you're going to be in big trouble if you're caught without shelter. So all of us now are in that hatched area where the 2-inch plus diameter hail is becoming increasingly possible with time. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm still keeping an eye on the other storm, so bear with me as we kind of go back and forth here. Threat track still remains, again, as you saw earlier, a 4 out of 5. The hail and the tornado threat, that is highest right now. And that is our biggest concern as we go into the afternoon. The timing is still 2 o'clock this afternoon until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning because we're getting 3 waves. We get wave number 1 now. Wave number 2 comes in for the late afternoon, early evening. And wave number 3 comes in past midnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. So those are your 3 waves that we're concentrating on. There you see future track really kind of blossoming those thunderstorms along the warm front as it moves northward throughout the day. That happens, generally speaking, after 3 o'clock. That's been some solid timing that I've been noticing so far. The million-dollar question remains, where is that warm front going to go? How far north is it going to be able to travel? And that is what is going to be crucial as to where these storms are going to go and where they're going to form today. So we have to literally forecast this on an hour-by-hour basis to see where that front is to determine where these storms are going to go. So that's why we're saying everyone needs to remain very much aware as to what's going on with the weather today. Especially if you notice we break into some sun in yours particular area this afternoon. That's more storm energy these things can use, and hence they'll be more damaging and potentially more violent in terms of the tornado threat heading into the afternoon. Let's press onward and go back to the timeline. So this is very similar to yesterday again. It all depends on what happens with the storms here this morning. There you're seeing those on the radar just moments ago moving through the Quad Cities. Now, again, if we can get some sun in here this afternoon, the opportunity for some strong storms later on is going to really ramp up. And that's expected to be between, say, after 4 o'clock all the way up to 7, 8 o'clock this evening. That's your potential for those supercells that are going to be developing along the warm front. Those are going to have the strong tornado potential and the large hail potential tied with them. Now, regardless of what happens with this early event stuff, with round 1 and round 2, round 3 is going to happen regardless of what happens before, just because it's tied to the cold front. There's strong dynamics there. You're not going to need a lot of storm energy to get stuff going. That is still on track to come in after midnight. Excuse me. This is after 2 o'clock in the morning up until about 4 to 6 o'clock in the morning when it comes to this threat coming in. And also it's a little more dangerous because this is after dark, where a lot of folks are sleeping. Most folks don't have that NOAA weather radio ready to go, turned on to alert mode. So if you have a way to receive alerts tonight, that's a good idea. Maybe leave your phone, the alerts on, excuse me, so that you're not silencing those alerts as they come through tonight, because again, it's those after dark threats that are really quite dangerous. In fact, you're twice as likely to see fatalities with an overnight event than you are compared to a daytime event. Good morning, Efridge. Come on in. We're just doing a quick Facebook Live, doing the storm threats today, and then we're also keeping an eye on that storm that's coming through right now. Is it thundering out there?
Yes, and on my way in my drive, on the Davenport side, the sirens are going off.
That's what Josh said, yeah. So they're setting those off for that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, no tornado warning. Don't get too freaked out about that. Every city has their own policy, unfortunately. Not everyone does the same protocol when it comes to storm sirens around here, but no tornado warning right now. We're definitely going to keep an eye on that. So let's go to the future track model. And there you're seeing, again, the warm front making some progress to the north. Again, a ton of storm energy building to the south of that. Can we erupt those right there after 3 o'clock along the warm front? If that's the case, those things are going to be nasty. That's the ones that are going to have the tornado threat, the violent tornado threat, along with the really, really large hail threat right along that warm front. Now, if the warm front doesn't make it this far north and it stays a little further south, that storm threat shifts south. If it makes it further north, then it will shift further to the north. So that's why, again, I said earlier, it's hour by hour that we're going to be watching the progress of this front, excuse me, as it works off to the north later on this afternoon. So that's going to be crucial to see what happens there. There you see a little break in the severe weather. Once we get that first line through and the warm front surges to the north, that's going to quiet us down temporarily, and then we wait for the cold front to come through a little bit later tonight, and that's going to be well after midnight. In fact, I may be watching some of these with you tomorrow morning on Good Morning Quad Cities, so that's how late this is going to be, but again, it's a good reminder, you got to have a way to receive these alerts if they're issued for our area overnight. I know some folks were interested in the future track tornado potential numbers. There you see, again, as those storms get going along the warm front, the highest numbers are generally speaking along and north of Interstate 80. If any of those storms can work with that kind of environment, that's where you're going to get those stronger, longer track tornadoes, and you're seeing a couple of those work in to especially areas north of the Quad Cities, right around the Sauk Valley, up towards Savannah, even Clinton. That's got a 7 out of 10 on the tornado potential scale there. So very concerning. Again, it's all about where these storms end up firing and where that warm front is going to be laying out. So we'll be tracking that very carefully as we go into the afternoon. Let's go back and see what's going on. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a quick drink of water really quick while this radar loads. With this severe thunderstorm warning, just looking to see if there's any more reports coming in from the National Weather Service. It's got an interesting appearance to it if you look at this. Excuse me, you notice that there's kind of a little bit of that hook shape in there. So let's poke around a little bit here on velocity, and it's not too alarming. At least right now, definitely could be some very, very large hail. Give me 1 second. I'm going to clear my throat really quicker, but I'm not going to subject you to that sound. So give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I think we're okay now. That felt a little bit better. So there's the situation right now with that severe thunderstorm. I'm kind of still watching the hail potential here. Especially when you get something like this coming into the metro, it's best to keep folks up to date with what's going on. You got a higher population, that's going to be something to watch. I think we'll give it a few more minutes, and then we'll see if we can get another update for our on-air folks that may not be watching the live stream here this morning. But oof, that is a beefy storm. There's another report from Wilton in Muscatine County of 7/10 of an inch worth of hail, so just a little below quarter size on that. From that latest one, that's coming in from Wilton. 1 inch hail, that's in Marion, that's up in the Cedar Rapids area. Cedar Rapids has really had the worst of the hail so far this morning, by all indications. But man, that storm is very beefy. Notice the threat on that is considered considerable, and that is because of the hail threat there, about 1.75 inches. That's decent sized hail that's coming in. While we're continuing to monitor that, I'm going to see if there are any more questions I can answer here really quick. Kennedy, yeah, you shouldn't be working outside today. I wouldn't be working outside today if it were me personally. Is the stream? Yeah, we're here. Sorry. Took me a couple of extra minutes. We did a little live on-air cut in there. That's the thing, as I kind of showed in that timeline. If this stuff were to keep going into the early afternoon, we're talking just after lunchtime, after the noon hour, that would cut away and eat away at some of the energy that would try to move in here, but that's not the plan right now. I mean, it's 9 o'clock. We've still got 3 hours to go until the noon hour, and there's nothing else behind this, development-wise, that's going to get going. So this moving in this early in the morning tells me that we're likely going to have full-blown sun, or a good deal of sun, as we go into the afternoon, and that's going to allow for a lot of heating. Now, the other thing that could do is it could also create what's called a cap. And what that does is it's a lid that prevents storms from initiating and firing and developing. That's another scenario today, but again, we think there are enough dynamics that will likely be overcome at some point. Let me pull up the satellite. There is a lot of low-level cloudiness sitting off there, but look at northeast Missouri. You've got a lot of clearing coming in there. Also a lot of clearing in northwest Missouri that has to move through yet too. So I think we're still going to be in good shape to get some clearing in here, especially as we go into the afternoon. That is for sure. Yeah, still some hail on that. What's the latest scan? Yeah, about 1.75 inches still hail on that storm. Anyway, back to the questions. You're welcome. I'm glad this stream is very helpful. Yes, Beth, that is definitely on track for today. Mount Pleasant area still also well within that threat zone today. In fact, I think even further so. Right now, the highest threat for tornadoes, I think, is along and north of I-80 based on what I've seen this morning. Gail saying about the timing has been pushed back closer to tomorrow morning. There is still a tornado risk with the storms coming along the cold front late tonight into tomorrow morning, but it's isolated. It is not nearly as big of a risk as what we have for this afternoon and this evening. But still, I want folks to make sure you have your alerts turned on because those are going to be similar to Friday. They're the quick spin-ups embedded in that line of storms like what we had Friday, except this is coming in late at night, early in the morning. So that's what we're looking at. Let's see. Matthew, Kewanee, yes, you are definitely in the threat area, very close to the threat area today into this afternoon. Do you think that 3 will end up going farther east of the Quad Cities? We'll see. Again, it's all about the placement of the warm front, which we have to literally draw. We're going to do a lot of hand analysis today, at least I will be, and we have to literally see where that front is every single hour. So that's going to be key. If you're along and just north of the warm front or anywhere within the warm front, really, that spells trouble. And that's going to be what it comes down to, is where is that warm front going to be this afternoon? Jordan, definitely be on alert for southeastern Wisconsin eventually. That's going to be later tonight. I don't see this super south threat working in your direction. Definitely southwest Wisconsin for sure, but not southeast Wisconsin. Tonight, again, it's all about isolated tornadoes tonight. The big violent tornado threat, that's this afternoon, this evening, not tonight. Hopefully that helps there. Cheryl's wondering about Kewanee. Again, I do think that you're going to be very close to that higher threat for some supercells after 3 o'clock. It all depends on the warm front. There will likely be some watches, Tyler, yes, issued later today. We'll see when that comes out and who it's for. Sunny, same thing. I would definitely be concerned about areas in Whiteside County for later on this afternoon. The warm front's going to be hanging in your vicinity. That is definitely very concerning. Let's see. For Sterling, yeah, BHP just answered that. Again, warm front's going to be near Sterling, so I am very concerned about where Sterling is sitting with things right now. Again, gotta keep an eye on the warm front. It's all going to come down to where that warm front is going to be laying out as we go into the afternoon. Cindy, I'm not sure why it's showing the track of this thunderstorm way north of the Quad Cities. Are you talking about the storm that's moving through right now? I can check that out really quick. It depends on which app you're using. I'm assuming it's the News 8 app. And we can check that out really quick here. But it should be showing where it's at right now. And then it should give you like kind of a future prediction in terms of where it's going. Interactive radar, there it is. Yeah, so I've got, at least on my end, it's pretty spot on. Now remember the radar that we're showing you here versus what's on the app. We have a very high resolution radar image that we're showing you here. So you get the finest of details. You get a little bit slightly lower resolution on the News 8 app compared to what we have on our multi-$1,000 system that is sitting right here. So that could be why. Let's see. Estrella says it's crazy dark in Illinois City right now. I know, right? We may just do that today, the record number of downloads for the News 8 app. Let's see. This thing keeps moving around. Do the same thing more than once. Is it going to hit Aledo before 3? I do not believe it's going to hit Aledo before 3. This is after 4 o'clock. Mackenzie says the wind is picking up in Rock Island. Sirens are going off in Bettendorf. Not surprised there. Rick saying got some good wind gusts there in Davenport. Thanks for the report. Laurel, kiddos and dogs that are kids at school and the dogs are inside. Amen. Yes. Hopefully we stay safe today. Candy, there's nothing for Geneseo with this storm, but again, we're concerned after 4 o'clock for some explosive storm development this afternoon in that particular area. Burlington, we're expecting that a little bit earlier. That's closer to 2 o'clock this afternoon for the potential for supercell storms. Princeton will be also after 3 o'clock. You're in the vicinity of the warm front, so watch out for that. Moline's not going to get hit with anything, at least with this right now. We're just going to get skimmed by this, by the way it looks. The hail potential is definitely staying on the Iowa side. Let me show you that again here. So there's your hail potential. It's just west of town of Walcott. And I'll put the track back on it so you can see where it's going. And there you see, 4 minutes to Walcott. Eldridge, you've got about 20 minutes. Cordova, then it sights in about 38 minutes. And then we go to Comanche and Clinton within the next hour. Just looking at one of my other radar sources here really quick to see if this thing has been trending up and trending down. All right, so they just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning, likely to replace this one. So, with that, let's go right to it and see what they've got changed for us here, guys, while I got you. We're going to give the computer a second to load. And there it is. So they've actually expanded this warning now a little bit more. They're still going to keep this at 1 3/4 of an inch in terms of the hail threat and considerable damage. So that warning has been extended now a little further to the east, and we're going to have that go until 10:15. So we're going to need to do another update to alert our on-air folks here coming up in just a few minutes. Clinton, this storm is going to be close to you, by the way. It's going to be just to your south, though. I think the hail core. We're going to keep an eye on it, that's for sure. There's the severe thunderstorm warning coming through that we just passed along to you moments ago. Dixon, Illinois is again after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, thanks for the update, Cindy. I appreciate that. Hey, Regina, be very careful if you're going to have to be out and about in this afternoon. That is for sure. It's going to get quite nasty at times. I'm going to check in with my page really quick, and then we're going to see if we can get ourselves on air for a hot minute and get folks at home updated, because this is a big hail threat. I get a little uncomfortable with not doing anything on air when we get about 1.5 inches and larger, because that's property damage stuff. So I definitely want to let folks know that this is coming in, especially if they're not on the live stream here. Somebody had asked earlier, do you believe that a bow echo early on in the storm, or is it going to form later? The bow echo is what comes in tonight. That's not going to be early on. Morrison Sterling is definitely in the hot zone, if you will, for today. I don't think it's going to go north, but again, it's all about the warm front. If that thing surges north later today, that means the threat also goes north too. Princeton is going to be in the zone not only for today, this afternoon, but also for tonight as well. Galesburg, yes, you are more later this afternoon into tonight. And again, Tyler, the danger tonight is going to be those embedded tornadoes in a line segment that's coming through. It's very similar to what we saw on Friday. That's what we're looking at for tonight's threats. And with that, there's another report of 1-inch diameter size hail in Muscatine County near Wilton. So, yeah, that storm means business, definitely. So I'm going to go see if I can get the on-air folks updated really quick as this storm gets ready to move in. And you guys are welcome to hang out here in the live chat if you want for a few moments. I'll keep it on until this threat kind of goes away. But yeah, oh my goodness, we've really grown that potential. So when you're in the green, you're talking some fairly large hail. There's 1.5 inches. So yeah, that thing is definitely ramped up. So I think it's time to go get our broadcast director time. Do a little on-air cut. So bear with me, folks. I'll be right back. I'm going to go let the folks that know that we're going to go ahead and do this online really quick. In fact, the National Weather Service just upped the warning now to 2-inch size hail. They actually just had a report near Nichols of 2-inch size hail. So again, if you're in the path of this severe thunderstorm, you got to take shelter, and you got to take shelter now. Vehicles inside, stay away from windows. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. That's going to be some big hail. All right, guys, stick with us. All right, guys, we're going to go on air on our main channel here just to get an update passed along because we're now up to 2 inches in diameter for hail with this storm. Yep. And a good Tuesday morning, Quad Cities. Meteorologist Andrew Stutzke here in the Storm Track 8 Weather Center. We want to break right back into programming again because we have seen a significant increase in the size of hail that this severe thunderstorm is currently putting down as it moves through the Quad Cities. Just had a report moments ago near the Nichols area as this storm was moving through of hen egg size hail that is 2 inches in diameter. That can cause a considerable amount of damage. So here's what we've got going on right now. A severe thunderstorm warning for much, if not all, of Scott County now. This does include Pleasant Valley, Rock Island, Davenport, and Moline. So we've got parts of Rock Island County in this as well, and it will go until 10:15 this morning. A very, very strong thunderstorm getting ready to move into the Iowa side of the Quad Cities especially. That's where the hail threat is. I'm going to show you where that's at right now as we put on our hail tracker and notice where these hot colors are right now. Right north of Walcott near Eldridge is where we're seeing that high-end hail potential right along Interstate 80, actually likely seeing some hail too. I'm going to be checking out some of the traffic camera networks here coming up in just a moment, but oh my goodness, this storm definitely means business. Let's put a tracker on this really quick while we have the hail probability here. This is moving east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour. And that's going to take it right into Eldridge, Cordova, LeClaire. You are in the line of fire for this. And eventually we're going to get it into Comanche as well. Again, that is 2-inch diameter hail that is falling with this storm. It is an impressive size of hail that's coming through this. They're zooming in a little bit further. You can see Eldridge, Parkview in this. Generally speaking, it looks like the hail core is going to be riding Interstate 80 as it heads off to the east here, getting closer and closer to the Quad Cities. Hail size tracker, again, it continues to increase. We're now into the greens, which indicates significantly large hail. We can point in here to see just how big it is. There you see almost 2 inches in diameter south of town near Walcott, and this is heading east-northeast. It's sitting right north of Bluegrass right now. This is the size of hail that can cause significant damage. Now, thankfully, we're not expecting a lot of wind with this, but still, any wind could push that size hail into windows and break them. So as this storm approaches, you definitely need to be staying away from windows because of the size of that hail. That could definitely cause not only a lot of damage, but some significant injuries. So when it comes to hail, here's the size we're looking at. We're now up to nearly 2 inches. That's what the National Weather Service is warning for. That is nearly almost tennis ball size hail. That means broken car windows, significant damage to roofs, siding, and the like. If we had crops in the ground, of course, that would be significant crop damage. So got to take this warning seriously inside, away from windows. This storm also has a significant amount of lightning with it as well. We've been seeing that lightning ramp up over the last 10 minutes. The more lightning we get, that means the hail production continues to be very robust in nature. I want to go ahead and put the loop on this really quickly so you can see kind of the trajectory, where it came from, where it's going to be heading. Yes, we've also noticed that it's got kind of that hook appearance to it on the lower left-hand side of your screen there. We're not really worried about the tornado potential this morning. That comes into play this afternoon. What we're worried about this morning is the hail threat. That's exactly what we're seeing with this particular storm. Let me show you some of the reports that we've received so far, and some of these are from earlier this morning, but there you see some of them starting to fill up the screen from this particular storm. There you have 1.5 inch size hail in Walcott, and that was just literally about 5 minutes ago. Other reports of very large hail coming in from near Wilton, and like the one near Nichols that I just showed you moments ago. So this storm has had a long history of producing hail, including up to 1.75 inches in diameter. That is extremely impressive. Now, in terms of the winds with this, again, there are some stronger wind gusts that are located within the storm itself, but that's not our main concern. The main concern is going to be the large hail threat. You're seeing that with some of the larger numbers here, those gustier winds, as it begins to push through. I want to also throw on the lightning to you so you can see how that's evolved. a lot of lightning, especially near Bluegrass. You're probably hearing some good rumbling in that region, more lightning as well as far east as East Moline. We've heard some rumbles here at the station even. That definitely tells us again that the hail production in this particular storm is very efficient, and it is definitely doing its thing in terms of getting these large hailstones to fall out of the sky. Another update to pass along, the National Weather Service saying that storm spotters in Stockton, that's in Muscatine County, have reported ping pong ball size hail, which is 1.5 inches. We've got another report coming in from Walcott of the same, of 1.5 inch diameter hail that's going to be pushing through. So I want to remind folks today it's 3 waves of storms. It is this first wave, this is number 1, this is a hail threat. Number 2 comes in later this afternoon into the early evening. That's the big one. That's the one that has us most concerned for tornadoes and even larger hail, perhaps greater than 2 inches in diameter. And then the third round comes in very late tonight. That's the one that has some isolated tornadoes and the threat for some damaging winds. So it is expected to be a very busy day. And of course, we're going to be here throughout tracking these storms for you. So let's go right back to Doppler radar again. We'll put a track on this where the heaviest portion of the storm is expected to go. And as we do that for you here, we'll draw it on. And then I'm going to take a look at some of the traffic camera networks to see where that hail core is going through, see if we can see some of that perhaps sitting on the ground. So there's your arrival. 4 minutes until we get it to here in the Quad Cities. It's just moments away, especially Iowa side of the Quad Cities. And also 9 minutes into Bettendorf, 20 to DeWitt, 32 minutes until we get this to Comanche. And then it will hop over to the other side of the river and start heading for Whiteside County. I don't see any reason why this would not maintain itself in terms of intensity. It's likely going to recycle again as it crosses the river. That is certainly a very distinct possibility as this storm continues to remain very, very potent. Just kind of looking at some of the cameras right now, I don't see anything too exciting, but I do want to see, bear with me for a moment, if I can pull up Northwest Boulevard, because that's where I'm starting to notice you are getting some of that heavier rain to start to fall in, but hail again is going to be our main concern as we go through this storm here. Again, that's severe thunderstorm warning going until 10:15. So we've got more than half an hour to go on this particular storm, and it does mean business, especially with the hail. So let's see if the Northwest Boulevard camera is going to work. Apologies, it may take a moment. Oh, we're going to dump that for a second. Looks like it's not going to function for me there. But yeah, I can tell you the rain is coming down extremely hard right there along Interstate 80 as you head just into town there near Durant, Walcott. Very heavy rain. Right where 80 meets 6 is where you're also seeing some extremely heavy rain at this time too. Let me see if I can pull up, let me grab one more source here. Our entire grouping of the 80 traffic camera network, that might be able to give me a better picture in terms of what's going on with that threat here. There we go, Interstate 80. Let's see what that looks like really quick here. And all is quiet on most part. A little bit of wet pavement there near Brady Street. 280, of course, it hasn't reached those areas yet, but it won't be much longer before all that's going to be changing, and we're going to start to see some of that stronger activity get ready to move in there. But the hail threat, ooh, yeah, it is very, very high with this particular storm. So need to make sure, again, we're taking shelter, staying away from windows. If you've got that car, truck outside, and you're in the path of this storm and you can get it inside, that's best. This is hail large enough to crack windshields, windows as well. Put some good-sized dents in your vehicles. Definitely not the kind of stuff you want to see. Let's go back to the hail probability. We're now seeing that hail core just south of Maysville. Right along and north of Interstate 80 is where that large hail is tracking. And if you notice as we zoom this in a little bit further here, we're just about to get this to come up on the 80 and 74 interchange. It won't be much longer, probably about 5 minutes or so, until that storm is going to start hitting the interchange itself. And that's exactly where the hail core here is going to be heading as well. So here's 80. There's the 74 interchange as you head up towards Eldridge and Parkview there. And that's likely where it's going to continue to hit, or that's where 74 is going to be ending anyway. I should say a little bit further east of there. And then, of course, we get that new interchange that's going to take it up towards Eldridge and Parkview. Let's go back to the hail size. Thankfully, the greens have gone away. So the hail size is decreasing ever so slightly, but we're still looking at quarter-size hail at least as this storm continues to move through. And again, we're moving this at about 40 miles an hour. So let's put the track on this here. and send it off to the east-northeast. This is where the bulk of the hail is right now. To show you when this is going to arrive, Mount Joy is about 12 minutes away. Getting into near Bettendorf there, the TVK Sports Complex, in less than 20 minutes now. Pleasant Valley, you're getting there in 20 minutes. LeClaire, 26 minutes. And then getting closer to Byron Hills Golf Course there in Complex, that's going to be about 30 minutes away. If you do happen to get pictures of the hail, you can send those to us via the News 8 app. You can also, I believe, submit those via the Storm Track 8 app as well. Just make sure you can do that safely. We don't want you going outside unprotected. We definitely don't want to see that. That is for sure. Sure, let's go ahead and take that if we can. We got PC1, so this is I-74 and Interstate 80. Again, this is going to be coming in awfully close to that. It is just moments away from reaching that junction. And watching the hail probability, it looks like the worst of the hail is going to be just to the north of that region. Still going to be worth keeping an eye on this camera shot, though, because we might start to see some of that hail fall just moments away. It's about 5 minutes away from the junction itself as it's heading to the east-northeast. And if we're not going to see that, for sure we're going to see some heavy rain, and that's going to slow down the flow of traffic there for sure as well. There's your hail core. There you see the I-74 junction and the I-80 junction. It is, again, just a couple of miles, just say several miles away, but of course this is moving at 40 miles an hour, so it's not going to take that long to get there. But that is going to cause some issues, especially for folks that are right in there, right at the junction. We could possibly see that hail core come very close to that area, and that's not good for folks that are traveling. There's what we were just showing on the camera. There's 80 and 74, the junction. Your hail core is essentially sitting right in here, and that's moving due east, so it's going to hit them very close, if not a head-on direct hit, as this continues to move off to the east here. Let's put the loop on this, see if we still have a little bit of a right-hand turn. We noticed that earlier when this storm was just getting going west of the Quad Cities. It was latching onto a boundary, not the warm front, that's still well south of here, but another boundary that was causing this to essentially make that right-hand turn. Initially it was tracking more northeast, but now this thing is moving more due east, and that's why we're starting to see this impact more of the Quad Cities. So there's your severe thunderstorm warning. Till 10:15, we're going to stay with this as long as that hail threat remains 2 inches in diameter. That is a very significant threat, and it is also a life-threatening threat as well when you're talking about hail that large. A couple of other updates. Another report from Walcott of 1.5 inch size diameter hail. That is large. That's ping pong ball size hail that is falling with that storm. We can continue to watch the hail tracker too. Remember, this was in the green earlier. We're still seeing this cycle through a little bit. It's dissipating a little bit, but as of right now, still at least severe size hail that's going to be coming through. Let's go back to the hail size chart, because I want to remind folks of what's going to be coming in potentially later on as we get into this afternoon and into this evening. Right now, you've got hail up to the size of golf balls being reported in several different locations, but later on today, we do have the potential to see 2 inch and larger diameter hail. That's up to tennis ball size. That could do a significant amount of damage. So based on the observations we've seen right now, this hail coming through is at a minimum going to cause severe roof damage, dents in wood, exterior paint damage to homes, and also dents in vehicles, I should say. I think we're just hearing outside the studio now the sirens going off here in Moline. I want to remind folks that those sirens are not going off for a tornado. Rather, they are going off for this very violent thunderstorm that is moving in, especially with that hail threat. Let's go to our porch cam, if you will, right outside the WQAD News 8 studios. This is Park 16th Street. You've got the hill there. An extremely dark appearance to the skies as this storm is pushing on through. You may even see that green appearance too, and that's mainly going to be caused by the hail that is suspended aloft within this storm itself. Again, we're not concerned about the threat for tornadoes today. There you see we just took a little power hit here at the station. The tornado threat comes later. It's the large hail threat that we're most concerned with these storms as they're pushing through right now. I'm just checking in with our Bridgepoint camera too, because I'm kind of curious to see what that view looks like. I'm just kind of panning it a little bit here. Let's see if we can take the Bridgepoint camera view and we can show you what that looks like, pointed directly kind of at the worst part of that storm. and kind of stay with us because we are taking some power hits here as this thing is moving through, so our signal may jump around a little bit. There we go. So you're starting to see some of the darker skies moving in from the west as this storm system is pushing through the region. I'm going to try and go back into the hail zone here because at least on my end, that is decreasing in intensity a little bit, which is some good news. But I'm still getting reports, even in Scott County. This is